Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing some basically steering upgrades to the M3. Let me show you what I got going in here. We're going to be putting in these extended control arms. It should give me a little bit more wheel clearance on the inside of the fenders, in opposed to the e36 arms I'm running right now. And then along with those, I'm going to be putting in these I got these 4mm rack spacers from Driftworks. We're gonna try those out. I've never had ran rack spacers before, so we'll see how those end up. Picked up some new inner tie rods from work. I'll talk a little bit about those in a little bit. And last but not least, some Condor offset bushings. These control arms got a little bit of a different end than the e46 one, so I had to get different bushings. Offset one so we get some good caster. So let me get the car up on the on some stands, and then we'll take a look at it and go from there. Basically, first off, we're gonna set our steering wheel completely straight before we do anything, before we even jack the car up in the air, and lock it in. Okay, so we got the car all up in the air. I'm gonna start off by taking off the front bumper. My front bumper comes off pretty easily. Just a couple zip ties. I'm going to start by snipping this side. Basically one on each side. And then I got 4 along the middle here that's got to be snipped out. That comes right off. Alright. Got the car up on stands. I tried to put some stands underneath the control arms to preload it a little bit, preload the suspension, just to kind of simulate what the car's like on the ground. And the main reason that I'm changing the control arms is basically I just get some rubbing issues when at full lock. You can see that this is the passenger side here. Basically rubs along the frame there. In the other direction, you can see the along this part of the frame rail here where it also rubs. That's basically just at full lock. And I tried I put in these wheels are actually lower offset than the ones I had on there before, so that's a little bit better, but it still rubs a little bit. Another spot you can see is on the control arm itself. You can see where the tire hits that as well. So these new arms, they're actually a lot thinner along this section here, so the wheel won't rub against it, hopefully. Let's go check out the other side. Okay. This side's actually a lot better than it was before. It doesn't look like it's really rubbing on the control arm anymore, or the frame rail, at least when the wheel is pointed in this direction. You can see where it rubbed here. It doesn't look like it rubbed too bad on the inside. Oh yeah, still makes contact. You can imagine when going into turns and stuff too, the suspension's going to load a lot more, so it'll actually touch a little more than that. These wheels are lower offset than the ones I had on there before, so they come out. Basically what that means is they stick out a little bit more because the mounting point is further inwards towards the center of the wheel. So I still got a little bit of room here. These new control arms might lower the offset a little bit more, mainly towards the bottom part of the wheel, because they're going to be giving me a lot more camber, or a lot more negative camber I should say. And what that will allow me to do is, if it brings the offset out more, I can run less spacer, because I have a 40mm spacers in there right now. And if it ends up being too much where it brings the wheel out and hits something up in here, then I could just use something smaller. But it seems like it's still got pretty good amount of space to work with. So, like I said, with these new control arms, them being longer, they're gonna add more negative camber to the car. And if you look on top, my settings are basically, my BCs are basically maxed out, full negative camber as is, so it'll allow me to dial it out a little bit to get back into the spec I like it. Alright, so these tires are wearing pretty good. I've actually been ran these the entire year for 2017, and they still got pretty good life on them. They're wearing really well. If any of you guys are looking for a really good grippy tire, these Deriza Star Spec 2s, awesome, I love them. My absolute favorite part of wrenching. You can only turn a nut quarter turn at a time. It's all good. We got Corona here to help out. That did it right there. And just like that, it's out. So basically, here's the comparison between the two. You can see the new ones, which are the red ones, are a lot longer and a lot thinner through the area there where it rubs. Should have a lot more clearance for the wheel. Need to go in a little bit more. land in here. So we're gonna put them in here first. So it turns out my control arm wasn't very happy going in the other way, so I'm gonna try putting on this part first. Now we're talking. One thing I'm kind of stoked about is the clearance between these control arms and the back side of the rotors here. When I had my e36 arms, they hit quite a lot, so I had to take a flap wheel and grind these down so they wouldn't hit. But it looks like these ones have no issues at all. Maybe if a factory backing plate was on there, that would probably need to be trimmed still. But as far as hitting the rotors, the clearance is good. Okay, looks like this side needs to come in a little bit too. Okay, we have a problem here. Looks like I put this bushing on upside down, this lollipop. These are supposed to go in here. So, I'm gonna have to pull this guy off now and flip it around, basically, put it back on. It just needs a little bit more. That's good. All right. So there we go, the control arms are in, and damn, they look nice. So basically, the whole point of getting the e92 track rods is with the factory e36 ones. Now that I have a longer track width, they're basically not gonna reach So I talked to, I believe it was Sean at SLR, and he told me that if I want to go bigger than the e36 arms, I'm either going to need to get their longer tubes, their longer control arm tubes tie rod tubes from SLR, or he said if my inner tie rods were already worn out, I can just go ahead and get e90 ones. So I went ahead and picked up some of those from work, and once I get these ones off, we'll compare them and see what they look like compared to the new ones. Okay, so I went ahead and threw one of the wheels on real quick just to check clearances, and I can already tell right away that it added some caster, because you can see right here it's already hitting my flare, which it didn't do before. So the wheel's sitting a little bit farther forward now, but other than that, bring it all the way back here and you can see we're good all the way around where it was rubbing before. There's plenty of clearance. I can fit my whole hand in between there now. Plenty of clearance here by the control arm, so I'm real stoked about that. Let's bring it back the other way. Might have to trim this up or move it out of the way a little bit. We hit this little tab in here, no problem. Angle grinder, take that off. All the way in, full lock, and we're golden. Still got about a finger's gap in between the tire and the frame rail. That is just awesome. I'm super stoked about that. It's clear all the way around. Oh, I'll probably never even be hitting angle like this and it still clears. Comes out. Okay, so basically the old one comes out, and then we're gonna take the 4mm rack spacer and put it on the new inner rod. And basically just screw it right back in. It's as simple as that. Alright. There you can see the rack spacers in there. Basically all that does is, that's just the extra amount of travel right there inside on the inside of the rack, just that little 4mm amount. Doesn't seem like a lot, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what kind of difference it makes. I'm gonna actually widen the inside diameter of this little rubber piece so it fits over the other arm here. Comparison between the e36 and the e90 tie rod. You can see the e90 one is significantly longer than the e36 one. So the threading that goes into the rack is about the same. yeah. I forgot to mention on the other side, you just throw this little limiting washer away when putting in the rack spacers. That in there. Oh man. Fucking steering. What is this steering? It was locked in. There it is. All installed. Now I just got to get the alignment dialed in and we'll be all set. Just looking under the car to make sure everything looks alright. And I didn't even notice this shit here. A big old dent in the radiator. The bottom of it, I don't... dragged on something, I don't know. So got the wheels back on, you can see. This is on the passenger side. The inner clearance between the tire and the frame rail is much better now. This is at full lock. On this side, it doesn't really, just misses the flare. We'll see what it's like when the car's back on the ground though. Bring it all the way to the other side. Plenty of clearance. Plenty of clearance between the tire and the control arm. Plenty of clearance between the tire and the frame rail. This side looks great. Like I said, the other side, so far the only thing hitting is the flare hits against the tire here. Not a big deal. Plenty of clearance on the inside. Oh yeah, we're golden. Look at that. Very satisfied with the arms and the clearances. I don't know what I'm gonna do about this, whether I move the flare up a little or just raise the car up a little more. Figure something out. Not entirely sure why, but after getting the car back on the ground, it's sitting significantly lower. Tires are definitely resting on the flares, so I'm gonna have to raise it up. I'm gonna try kicking the camber in. So the issue I'm having right now is basically with the offset bushings that I put on and the extra length of the control arms now. It looks like I got way too much caster, much more than I had before. When the tires turn, it hits the flare, hits the nose panel a little bit, and even the bumper rubs, so I can't put the bumper on right now. being as I went with the Condor bushings and they're non-adjustable, I'm gonna try to swing my top hat around on my coilovers and see if I can maybe bring the caster down a little bit, and then we'll see what it looks like then. So basically I was a little sketched out about having so much caster. I flipped the top hats, I reoriented them so I can get a little bit of adjustment back out of them. It'll compromise a little bit of camber, but I'm not too worried about that. Crawled underneath here and noticed a pretty big problem. Looks like the sphericals that are in my control arms don't want to stay in. They pressed in really tight when we put them in initially. But for some reason, when I put the weight of the cart down, or the weight of the car down on it, they seem to pop out a little bit, and I'm pretty sketched out by that. Look. The other side's pretty much the same way. You can see that from here. Fuck. So, now comes the dilemma of whether to even run them at all or pop back in the old arms and just go with it or what. Since I was sketched out about the bearings popping in and out, basically they're just kind of loose in there and just coming out of the bottom a little bit. I just went ahead and put some tack welds along the top. It's not the prettiest thing, but that side's going to be facing up into the spindle, so no one will see it anyway. Let's get it back together. Previously I was putting these bolts in with the impact. Actually, I heard that's actually not a good idea because you can rip the threads out of the body on these things. They're actually not very sturdy. So we put them in by hand and then tighten them down with the regular ratchet. Okay, I got one side back together now. Everything looks pretty good. I got the top hat flipped a different way now so I can adjust some of the caster out of it, so hopefully we won't be rubbing on the nose panel or the front bumper. Trying to get back to around the same specs we were before. So basically the way that it's set up right now, as I bring the adjusters up this way, it's gonna take the caster out, pushing the wheel back a little bit, as well as bring out my camber just a little bit, because I got a lot of extra camber now since I have the longer lower arms. So this is the end result. I'm pretty happy with the outcome. I pretty much just had to reorient this top hat to change some of the caster, but I was still rubbing a little bit after doing that. So what I ended up doing was I took the wheel spacers out and put in some smaller ones. I put in some 30 mils as opposed to the 40s that were in there, and now it seems to just clear the fender lids. So I'm pretty stoked. As you can see, still plenty of clearance on the inside. Outside has plenty of clearance as well. But as you bring the tire around, that's basically the clearance I got now after changing the wheel spacers. So that's cool. If it rubs a little bit, I'm not too worried about it. It'll eventually just rub itself clear. So we're basically going to load up onto the trailer now, and I'm going to take it down to get it aligned, because we have an event tomorrow. Hopefully it's not too wide for the trailer now. too bad. Still got a little space. Oh yeah. So there it is. Time to go get this alignment, get ready for some skids. Okay, so basically like I said, I'm gonna go down now. I'm gonna get the car aligned. I'm going out to Thunder Hill Raceway tomorrow. We're gonna basically do a shakedown on it, a little test and tune, make sure everything's good for the upcoming year. Be so kind, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more content to come. Peace.
Good things, good things, good things, good things. Better come my way, better come my way.